Alejandro, Josh, has there ever been thought of having the official weigh-in right before the fight to encourage no weight cuts at all? Like literally walk out of the locker room, make weight and fight?
John, that's your question. That's a question for you.
Here's your problems with it is we do that in certain amateur programs that you will weigh in. It's not right before you can't have it right before, based upon promotions need to be able to sometimes replace fighters that don't make weight and things like that. So that is one of the concerns when you're talking about doing weigh-ins right before the fight. It just doesn't work. So you can say that you can do same day weigh-ins, day of fight weigh-ins. And the problem with that is, you get these guys that believe that they're smarter than everyone and that they can lose 20 some pounds and put it back on and perform well. And there is a health risk that goes with it. And so, to sit there and say that it's good, there's no perfect. And I wish there was, and if someone can come up with perfect, please let me know. But there's no perfect as far as, what's the right thing to do as far as is them weighing in and being an actual 155-pound fighter when they're stepping into the cage. Is that what's important, or is their health what's important? And I always look and say, well, it's more important that they're a healthy person going into that cage, as healthy as they can be. So yeah, they're going to weigh more than the 155. Yeah, they're going to weigh more than the 155. But the weigh-ins are just to make sure that I personally would get rid of all weigh-ins except for championship fights. As far as hey, it doesn't matter if Josh and I are going to fight, and Josh says, hey, okay, I can weigh in at 167 pounds, and I say, okay, I can make 167, and so we meet at 167. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then how do you know? How does the promoter know that you can actually make the weight at 155?
Well, that's the problem. Exactly what you're talking about, and I would have brought that up. So thank you very much for saying it, because here's the flip side: is promoters then it's tough for them to promote someone in a specific weight class because they don't even know if that person can get to that weight class. Yeah. And it becomes a problem. So, like I said, there's no perfect. I wish there was.
Yeah, here's the problem with the make the weight and then walk onto the cage. Not just the promotion part where if something happens, say the fighter gets cut in the back and then they make the you got to be able to swap out fighters. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. That being said, you see it in jiu-jitsu. They literally weigh on the scale and they walk to the mat and they still try to cut weight.
Yeah, they do.
They're trying to cut 5-6 pounds.
They always will.
Yeah. And so knuckleheads, instead of just being like, hey, this is what I walk around at, let's just fight, close to this. And that's the problem. They're going to be like, oh, I can always get down to this. Now, if two fighters agree, hey, what's your weight right now, 10 weeks out? And what's my weight? And then we can diet to get to this same weight, which is close. Let's say we're both 172, 171, and the other guy's 174. Let's agree to 170. You basically, by the time you get in shape and you're only going to lose a pound, maybe or you may just lose it in camp, or just change your diet enough to where it's right there. You're walking around at that weight class, but you're still going to have fighters try and do it. I see it in jiu-jitsu guys, and they get out there and they wonder why they gas.
People think that they can gain an advantage. Mm-hmm. And as soon as there's something there that tells someone I can have an advantage, they're going to try it against their health and safety.
Yeah, I just feel like I wish it could be that way where you just step on the scale and you walk out there. And the only way I think it'll ever come about is if two fighters or if a promotion just says, hey, I'm going to match you guys up based off of what you guys walk around at. What's your weight class? What's your weight class? That's what you'll fight at. You walk around this weight class and your training walk around, not like your off camp walk around weight, right? We're not Habib's not fighting at 188. You know what I mean? Hey, your walk around in camp is probably about 174, 175 or 78, somewhere in there. It's pretty much what you rehydrate back up to, when you make the weight. So whatever that is, 178, Islam goes back to 178. For myself, I got back up to around 68 to 69, sometimes 70, but I was always in that flux of 68 to 70, somewhere in there, sometimes 71. But then by the time I fought, it was back down after I pissed a couple times. back down to 69, 70. So I think if you could find a way to do that, but I just don't think you can. There's one more there. It says, Sandeep Singh, Josh, can you just admit Habib used to ragdoll Islam? Ladies and gentlemen, if I could tell you that, I mean, I probably could, but I can't. Like, it's just not true. Habib did not ragdoll Islam whatsoever. So they just had different styles of wrestling. Islam was very slick, and Habib knew that if he dove for the legs, single leg, double leg, that Islam had ways of, hipping him and foot sweeping him and using his momentum against him. Habib was had to be very strategic on the way he attacked him and when he attacked him, so Islam couldn't readjust for the over-unders and change direction. He had to be really good. And Habib knew that. They trained together their whole lives. So Habib had to make sure that he got in deep enough on body locks, deep enough on the crotch, on the lifts and all those things to actually get takedowns, or press him to the wall in the corner, suck him off the wall, those type of things. Those kind of takedowns he had to be very slick at. And it was all about the entry. He had to sell the stand-up to get in deep enough on the takedowns. And that's very difficult to do against somebody like him. All right. Alejandro Gutierrez. This is the last one, guys. Could there be no weight limit BMF division where everybody can fight anybody they choose with the approval of the commission, like early UFC days? John, that's a question for you, buddy.
Absolutely no. I'm just, this is, you need to understand, this is why. When you have a regulatory body, an athletic commission, they are the ones that are allowing these fights to be legal. Okay. And when they look at everything and they say, well, what do we do to make it to where we take as much as we can as far as the safety of the fighters and make it as safe as we can? What are the things we do? Well, they have to do, certain testing, and they go through medicals. And then one of the things is we don't match people that aren't close in size. Well, right there is your whole thing. There's a difference. And the reason we talk about it is, we have absolute divisions like in jiu-jitsu. Okay. And you can do that. Josh and I can grapple with each other because I'm not punching Josh in the head. Because when I punch Josh in the head, there's 270 pounds coming down on Josh, where when Josh is punching,
you're lying about your weight again. You're about
I just put myself actually a little bit above
295,
268. So, but it is that difference of how much weight there is, and it's not that Josh can't hurt me. He can, but it's a matter of they're looking and saying, I'm not going to let a 270-pound person beat on a 170-pound person. That's crazy. Because, what the human body can only take so much. And this is the difference when you watch, straw weights in women, and you see them punching each other all the time. And for a lot of them, they don't go down, they don't get hurt, and they're taking those shots. It's because of the amount of torque and weight that they can put into those punches is different than the bigger weights can do.
Yeah.
But the human body can only take so much before it shuts itself off. So this is why, when you get into the bigger weights, that's why, heavyweights are not the funnest, fights to watch, but they're the ones that can end the fastest.
Yeah.
So,
yep. This episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.